It's time to experience the future, where people, technologies, and ideas come together to find what's new and what's next, where supply chains tackle tomorrow. It's time for ProMat. Only at ProMat can you connect with over 1,100 of the top manufacturing and supply chain innovators under one roof. Expand your knowledge, learn impactful trends in nearly 200 seminars, and be energized by 4 inspiring keynotes. ProMat is where supply chain pros come together to connect, network, and build lasting business relationships with peers from the United States and around the world. Be among the first to access the next groundbreaking MHI annual industry report on the supply chain trends and the digital technologies revolutionizing the industry. Unveiled by Wanda Johnson and MHI CEO John Paxton, join comedian Jay Farrow for MHI's Industry Night, ProMat 2025. Go to ProMatShow.com to learn more and to register for free admission to the ProMat exhibits and educational conference.
All right, and we are live here with the New Warehouse podcast on day 2 of ProMat 2025, and we are kicking it off, supported today by Big Joe Forklifts. We got our little fleet right here of Big Joe on the desk.
Big Joe.
There we go. All right, and today we are going to be joined by 10 different guests. We are going to have some great discussions today, and we're going to kick it off this morning with Samantha Taylor of ABCO Mobility and Seth Weisberg of ABCO System. Seth, longtime friend, right? Samantha, fellow redhead, yes. Right? So we welcome you in here. Good morning to you both. How are you both doing so far?
Fantastic.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having us.
Definitely, of course. So why don't we kick this off a little bit? Tell us, I guess, Samantha, why don't you tell us a little bit about ABCO?
Yeah, absolutely. So ABCO is a family-owned Michigan manufacturer that specializes in motorized carts. Since 1968, we have found innovative ways to kind of bring that to life. And it all started when our founder, Al Teamy, was taking a trip to Mexico with a loved one who had MS. And she had difficulty moving around, so had to be pushed in a manual wheelchair, which, of course, is very exhausting, not only for the one that have to push, but for the individual. So when he got back to the States, he said there must be a better way. And he invented the first motorized cart for personal use. To encourage independence and mobility. From there, we have expanded into our grocery stores. So we are proud to say that 9 of the top 10 retailers choose ABCO's for a motorized grocery cart in the front of their stores. And our newest line, which is the one we're here at ProMat for, is our motorized material handling carts, which are a small footprint, agile design meant primarily for warehouse manufacturers, fulfillment centers, DCs, anything that needs to move people and product differently.
All right, great. Definitely. And I love the origin story.
Yes,
for sure.
It's a huge part of who we are. So, and our founder, Al, he's 87 years old, still comes to work every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that is grind set for sure. Yeah.
It's hard to follow up.
And Seth, what about ABCO? Tell us a little bit about ABCO.
ABCO Systems, third generation. We are a systems integrator. We design and build distribution centers. Everything from storage systems to automation, everything in between, structures, inbound, outbound sortation, and our latest acquisition is Fast Fetch, which we're super excited about. Fast Fetch is voice-guided, light picking technologies that really increases efficiencies within the warehouse, focusing most specifically on picking and packing.
Nice, definitely. And I've had Seth on the podcast a couple times, so a great friend of the podcast. But Fast Fetch is a recent kind of acquisition for ABCO, right?
It is.
And we're here today. We're going to talk a little bit about this partnership between Fast Fetch by ABCO and ABCO, right? So I don't know who wants to start this off, but tell us a little bit about the partnership.
Oh, the floor is mine.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a beautiful partnership. It just makes sense.
Beautiful.
ABCO,
I like that.
Yeah, ABCO has been very good partners to ABCO and has promoted our material handling products in the past. And we actually had a sales conference this last fall where the ABCO team came, and it was like a light bulb moment. It just makes sense. We promote in our material handling carts efficiency, Fast Fetch, efficient.
Yes.
In order to put our motorized cart, so one thing we like to say is the average human walks about 3 miles an hour a day. Our carts are programmable up to 6 miles an hour, which of course you're doubling your efficiency. And then with the pick-to-light system, I don't know if we know the facts of how efficient it is, but
Yeah, so super efficient and can often even quadruple what a typical worker is doing throughout the day, right? But I do want to point out the partnership because it is a beautiful partnership.
Yeah.
And that's part of our culture. So we always want to join with companies that have similar cultures to ours. So working with a company like Amigo really has been great. And I mean, think about the origin story. But in general, the way we work with everyone really is highlighted in this partnership here. So love seeing it. Thank you very much.
absolutely.
But she's right. The average worker's walking 3 miles per hour per se, right? Throughout the day, that slows down.
Yeah.
So when you're in the Amigo cart, not only are you creating efficiency and reducing the wear on the worker, but you are actually able to keep 4 carts behind it as well. So instead of 1 cart going back and forth consistently over and over again, now you've got 4 carts that are going back and forth. So the amount of increased, again, for lack of a better word, efficiency is massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched the video of it last week. I think I saw it was posted online, and I saw that the capacity of what you can now bring with you, like the number of orders that you can bring with you on one pick path, one pick travel, I mean, is massive. So tell us a little bit about how that kind of expands the capacity and reduces the start and stop of the picker.
Well, you no longer have to worry about going back and forth for
Right.
each and every cart, right? So we've had customers that will tell them, we're going to double your efficiencies, right? They've come back to us and told us we're actually quadrupling it, right? So instead of 1 cart, again, going back and forth, now you've got the 4. It's a complete and utter game changer. Besides the fact that while people are walking at 3.1 miles per hour, now you've got this cart doing it the entire day and they're not slowing down. And the average worker is going 10,000 to 20,000 steps a day. That hurts by the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So you're creating a better environment for your workers as well, which is also going to increase how they're performing throughout the day. So it not only is it a great origin story, but it actually adds to it because you're taking better care of your employees in the facility.
Yeah, I think what you said earlier, Seth, about like the culture, and obviously Amigo and ABCO have very similar culture and belief in their employees, and that's a huge thing that we see is that employees are leaving at the end of the day rather than fatigued and tired. They feel like they put in a good day's work and they can still go home to their families and do what they want to do outside of work because they're not feeling just exhausted from walking millions of square feet every day.
Correct. And think about how much labor you're saving in that regard.
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, that fatigue, and I think Seth, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's that fatigue over time as you go throughout your day, you're going to start off your day. Maybe you start off your day with high energy, right? Depending on how the night before was, right? But over time, the more you're pushing those carts and, doing that lifting and that walking, your fatigue, that productivity starts to decline, right? So if you're able to keep that same productivity level flat throughout the day, then you're going to have that more balance and you're going to have more wins there. So tell us a little bit about the fast fetch technology itself and how that kind of works with the cart.
So it's similar to our typical carts. You've got the lights telling you what to pick. And you've got the carts telling you how many you need on it. You're using the swipe technology, which is proprietary to Fast Fetch, and it works exactly the same way as an individual cart does, but it's literally just daisy chained onto the Amigo.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so super simple. The training time is within an hour. We can literally set up a facility and have somebody's employees trained in under an hour on how to use the system.
Nice. Yeah. And for like your existing, I guess, clients, I mean, is this something that's like, now taking their operations to the next level or opened up some ideas, kind of like you guys had this, moment at the sales meeting that you're talking about? I mean, has it done the same for some of your existing customers?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to say real quick with the, actually, I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about that. Lost my thought, but yes, it has. Honestly, our clients are very excited to see this, and it just adds to the overall efficiency of their order fulfillment centers, DCs. And I think it's the same is true for the ABCO system too.
We've signed, and I'm not privy to say this right now, I think this is where you're going, but we've signed 2 of the biggest brands literally in the world to use this. Both of them, seeing it, watching it in action, completely blown away. Completely blown away.
We can't break some news here.
We can't. Not yet, but soon. Yeah, exactly right.
It starts with what letter? Yeah, so I mean that's great, and definitely, I think those efficiencies, it sounds like are very quick to be realized, right? If you're talking about the 2 of the biggest brands out there, definitely. So, if we look here, we're starting off day 2 here for ProMat, and you guys have been here for 1 day so far, right? So what has been some of the feedback on the solution? What are you hearing from people that are some challenges that they're trying to navigate? What's kind of the buzz out there on the floor?
I don't know that I've heard of necessarily any challenges. Everyone has been
no challenges at this point. I'll tell you, the challenges I think people are seeing are really in the general economy. We're hearing a lot of that, which is giving us a great advantage because people are realizing that labor's expensive, real estate's expensive. This is really allowing us to control cost, to reduce errors, create those efficiencies, and find a new way to save that much more money through the picking process, which picking is, as I'm sure most of you know, is 50 to 70% of the labor costs in your facility alone.
Yeah.
So finding that much efficiency here, really, it's a game changer. And we're seeing great feedback on it. People like this technology, the pick-to-light in general, specifically because it is an easy way to break into automation.
Right.
It's not overly expensive. There's a quick ROI. And you see it fast. You see the difference fast. Combine that with the Amigo cart, and you're literally quadrupling it overnight. So it's a game changer, great partnership, and huge opportunities for both companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting too, because I was just going to ask you. You mentioned the easy way into automation. I was going to ask you. We look out here on the floor and we see all kinds of robots, automation, AMRs, things like that. I mean, how does this compare to some of those solutions?
So there's a lot of really cool stuff out there, right? And there's a lot of companies that's applicable for. But if you're not automating today, you're going to be out of business tomorrow. There's no way around that. And people are afraid to spend money, which we understand. Now, there are companies that have the budget, they have the CapEx, and that makes sense. And there's really great solutions for them. Dense solutions, shuttle systems that are amazing, clearly, right? But there's a lot of people out there that just aren't comfortable with spending a lot of money on automation today. So this is a great way to dip your foot in, spend a relatively small amount, turn it over pretty fast, because we can get in your building 2-3 months, depending on the solution, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. We can get in your building and within 2 days have it up and running.
And I think that's true too, not only for new sites that are being built, because a lot of times you build a site with automation in mind.
Yes.
Ours can be retrofitted no matter what
That's a great
the
point.
location is.
That's a great point. So the FastFetch technology, one of the things that's great about it specifically is that it fixes to pretty much any kind of storage structure that's in a facility. So combine that with the Amigo cart, going through your pick path, and you're creating a different environment, and again, a huge way to come into a facility, reduce costs almost overnight, and create a better picking process.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, and I love the fact that you just touched on kind of that brownfield option, right? This is something that you can get up kind of quick and running, and be able to see those gains kind of immediately. So really interesting to learn from you guys here about the partnership, this beautiful partnership. Love it, definitely. So if people want to learn more about it or see it, what's the best way to do that?
ABCOsystems.com and
it's myamigo.com.
All right. And if they're here at the show,
come to our booth. Yeah, absolutely. Come to our booth.
All right, cool. So Seth, Samantha, thank you so much for joining me this morning and kicking off day 2 with us here live on the New Warehouse podcast. And definitely go check out the Amigo and FastFetch by ABCO Systems solution and beautiful partnership. So
great to see you, brother.
You too. Always.
Thank
definitely.
Right
great
on.
to meet you, fellow redhead, as well. All right. Have a good rest of the show and have a good week.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Seth and Samantha. And up next, we are going to have Dan Betts join us. He is the Executive Vice President of Operations at Andrews Distributing, who is a customer of Big Joe. We're going to talk about a creative solution that they've come up with. I think we have Dan coming in here. All right. And today our live stream is brought to you by Big Joe Lift Trucks. Make sure you go check them out if you're here or check them out online. Dan, how are you?
Kevin, how are you? Doing great. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Nice
Good to get you in here on the couch.
Yeah, feels comfy.
Yes. Happy you're comfy, definitely. How's it going for you this morning?
Fantastic. A lot of energy going on in the building today.
Yeah. Were you here yesterday?
I was here yesterday. It was a great day here. Pretty crowded, but I think we're expecting a bigger crowd today.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Right. Tuesday is usually the big day. So definitely great to get you on here and definitely great to talk to you. So tell us a little bit about your company, Andrews Distributing, and what you do.
I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations at Andrews Distributing. We are a family-owned business. We've been in business for about 50 years.
Okay.
Our location is Dallas, Fort Worth, and Corpus Christi. We're in the beer and spirits business.
Oh, we like that.
Oh, yeah. It's a fun business to have. But we do about 45 million cases a year. We deliver to 13,000 customers. We make about 1 million stops or deliveries a year.
Okay.
And we do that with 2,000 teammates, hardworking teammates of mine.
Nice. And you do all your own deliveries, all your own trucks?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we deliver on behalf of our suppliers, Molson, Coors, Corona, all the great beer brands that we have.
Yeah, all that great beer that we love. Yeah,
love it.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about kind of that, because it's a direct store delivery essentially, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because not every store is so convenient to deliver to. Maybe convenient for the customer, right? But on the back end, there might be some challenges there. So tell us a little bit about kind of what that direct store delivery looks like and some of those challenges.
Well, in operations, we are always about continuous improvement, as you know. We have that Kaizen mentality. So we wake up every day and say, how do we get better?
Yeah.
And in this particular event, what we did was we value stream mapped the delivery process. So we started at the moment that our delivery team leaves our distribution centers, and by the time they come back. And Kevin, what we discovered was that 25% of that time in delivery was $5 million for us. If you look at what our costs are, just for on the labor side.
That's a lot of money.
And that 25% was just in the check-in process.
Mm.
So that's getting the beer in the front or back door and making sure what the customer wanted, they actually got.
Yeah.
And we look at that as waste or muda. There's an opportunity to reduce that. We think that of that 5 million, we can cut it in half. So we think for Andrews, there's about 2.5 million in opportunity cost, and an opportunity for us to cut back. And really what we'd be doing is driving service up and keeping our costs down. And where that cost is getting that product to the front door or the back door, because every case, 45 million cases at Andrews, has to be checked in by hand. So you're taking time away from a store clerk or a store manager at, call 7-Eleven or Joe's Beer Shack.
Yeah. So
you're taking their time away from the customer or doing what they need to be doing, or we're waiting on them while they're taking care of the customer. So obviously there was a way to do it better. And if you think about the front door that we have to go through, right. 50% of our customers are going through a skinny door, right? 36 inches or less.
Not really made for a pallet or anything like that, right?
Well, if you think about the pallet is almost useless to us when we're getting into the store, because we pick on a wide pallet. Yeah. A fat pallet. We also have our forklifts or our fork trucks to get inside the store. It's 3,500 pounds. They won't allow it. It's too heavy on their floor. So we can't get in with the pallet. We can't get in with the jack. And so we're picking this on something that forces us to do something extra. So we have to downstack it. So 45 million cases, if you think about that downstacking, we downstack it in front of the customer, blocking the customer's way inside the store because we can't get through the door yet.
Right.
We break it down in sets of 7, and we two-wheel it in. So 45 million cases, 1 at a time, going in 7 at a time, and then another touch to set it down to get it checked in.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of opportunity for savings there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like it's such a challenge, right? Because it's on both sides, what sticks out to me first is you're saying like the waiting time, right? It's like your delivery driver's waiting, right? And then maybe the customer's customer is waiting, right? Which is not good, right? And I'm sure the customer's customer is going to be the priority versus delivery driver, but then the delivery driver's got to make another stop, I'm sure, right? So there's a lot of inefficiency there and kind of that waste, and certainly very time consuming to make those deliveries, just a few cases at a time going through the door. So tell us a little bit about the idea, because I understand that you've come up with this creative solution to this skinny idea, right? Tell us a little bit about how this idea kind of came about and what it's all about.
Well, I work with a great team. We have hundreds of years of experience in front of us. So what we did is we worked as a team and really dug into that experience. We said, how do we do it better? We know what we see. We've been doing it for decades. How do we change the industry? So we really leaned into that experience, led by Paul Bila and his team out of Fort Worth. And many folks on Andrews participated in this as well. But we said, we need a skinny pallet to get through that door and a skinny jack light enough to get on the floor.
Yeah.
And there's companies out there that are dabbling with skinny pallet and skinny jack. I believe they're inferior compared to what Big Joe has out there.
Okay.
So we came up with this idea, let's do skinny pallet, skinny jack, and let's weigh it in. So we'll check in by weight. And there's no one out there today who's checking in product by pallet by weight.
Interesting.
So instead of one case at a time, 44 million cases, you're bringing it in and checking it in by weight. If you think about it, Brinks measures they weigh their dollars, and $100 bills, $1,000 bills with weight. So why aren't we doing that? So we went to several suppliers and got rejected. They thought it was too far out there, and we just believed in the impossible, and we just kept pushing. And we were fortunate enough to get with a couple of partners like Big Joe. Yeah. And that was a really incredible partnership we have going with them.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. And I love that you push through and you're like, no, we're going to do this, even though so many other people are saying like, this is too much of an out there idea, but we're going to make it happen. And I think it makes so much sense. So tell us, I mean, when we talk about standard pallet, 40 by 48, right? But we talk about a skinny pallet. What size is a skinny pallet?
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot. I have to give my engineers a Peninsula pallet to help me with that one. But it's less than 36 inches to get through that door. I think it might be 32.
Interesting.
But the pallet we designed was skinny and a little shorter than what's out there today, which made it more stable. So we think that we partnered up with the two together. So we got Peninsula pallet to get with Big Joe, and we wrapped that pallet around that Big Joe custom-made pallet jack. Yeah.
Interesting. And so now the skinny pallet, I mean, obviously allows you to bring more in there. But I'm curious too, like on the backside, as you looked at that, I mean, does it change anything within your operations, like when you're picking that order to go out for delivery?
Great question. We had thought that it might slow us down, and originally there was a learning curve, but it's a minimum difference. So we feel that we can overcome that, because instead of putting 3 pallets now on a jack, we're putting 4 and 5 on a walkie rider, as we call it, and picking it inside the distribution center. So it's very minimal, but the significance gain is on the delivery side. So it helps our customer out. We're in and out of the way of their customer. We're in and out of the way of them, so they can do their job. So we just believe that as brand builders, that we can really be our very best to serve our customer and the customer's customer. So there's an opportunity here, and particularly with Andrews, we believe there's $2.5 million worth of savings there. Because if you cut that time in half, the check-in time, that's about, if you look at the beer industry, it's about 3 billion cases annually. So that could really be about $130 to $150 million of elimination of waste and muda. And really being able to service your customer better, because we'd like to give back to our team. We believe we're a good jobs company. So we'll give back to our teams. We'll invest in our teams, our equipment, and our buildings. But one great thing about that is that it's just the beer industry. I mean, this thing can go into other industries, whether it's water or soda. So
who's ever doing that store delivery. Yeah, interesting. And I love how you kind of looked at it and, dissected the problem essentially and figured out how do we navigate around this. So talk to us a little bit about the relationship with Big Joe there and how the development of this skinny jack kind of came about. Because I think it's interesting too, like that there had to be, not only a consideration of the size, right, but then also a consideration of the weight too, as you mentioned, for the floor. So tell us a little bit about how that development worked.
Sure. We just we had this idea, and no one would take us up on it. Well, there's a distributor a forklift distributor in Fort Worth named Shoppas, and they have a vice president of sales that was in on a sales call here at Andrews, and they were selling forklifts. But we stopped them right there. We said, "How about, would you be interested in this idea?" So we presented the idea, and his eyes went wide open.
Oh yeah,
he's like, "You're on to something, and we're an aggressive company, and I know exactly who you need to partner up with." Within 7 days, he got a hold of Big Joe, and Dan, the president of Big Joe, comes in. And he brings his vice president, Matt, from engineering.
Yeah.
Sitting at our table 7 days later, they bring out a white sheet of paper, and they asked us one question. What do you need?
Yeah.
And you know what their next question was?
What?
When we were done with the white piece of paper, it went from top to bottom. We told them exactly what we needed for our business, the beer business at Andrews. They said, "We got you. We love this idea, and we'll take it on." And they did it. They made that magic happen. They made everything we wanted, and they got it. And everything they did was exactly to spec that we needed.
Yeah, that's great, and I love that too, because I love the idea of being able to be I guess progressive in that thinking and open to new ideas and seeing from the voice of the customer, literally, right? On what they need and how do we go about and address that and see the opportunity there. So I'm curious, we're here at ProMat, right? And obviously there's lots of all around us, really, shiny things going on, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how do you, as an end user, essentially, right? As a customer, how do you come in here? How do you go approaching with an innovation mindset and how do you look at these different solutions and kind of figure out like what's right for me, what actually works for me, and what's just like looks cool?
Well, I was here with several of my teammates yesterday, and I told them, I said, be prepared to walk out of here and to some degree feel like inferior because there's so much out there that you just want to grab and take.
Yeah.
But really, the challenge is to grab things that really pertain to you and your business. And even though it might not be presented in your business, look at something that's being successful in some other area and see how you can convert that to us in the beer and spirits business. So that's always fun to come here and do that at ProMat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is there's so much going on here. I love that you said that, like you prepared your team to tell them that, you feel like we're way behind on everything, right? Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to feel that way with all the technology here. So, I mean, what would you say, from an end user perspective, for some of the solution providers, right, that are out here? How do they, have a more open mindset? Because you said you went to a couple companies first with this idea and they weren't necessarily open to it. What would you say, or what advice would you give them from a customer perspective that say, you need to think about things a little differently nowadays?
Well, it was a tough journey. I mean, first of all, you got to state your case and state it clearly and state how big the pie can be for that particular vendor. So kind of put it in their language, what they do best, what we need most, and try to find that happy medium where they feel that they could actually add value to what we're asking for, and it's going to be significant. But if they can't see that, you push, you try again, and then you got to go on to the next one. And fortunately, with Big Joe, we struck gold with that one. I mean, I've never had a partnership where someone was so tuned into the customer and so fast. I mean, we did this thing basically in mid fourth quarter of last year, and here we are. Yeah. And we're doing this in DFW at our customers' locations, and it's catching on like fire. So 5 like it, 5 goes to 10, 10 goes to 100 customers. So once these customers are seeing the advantage of it, they start wanting to sign up for it. So actually, we're actually behind the customer request or demand right now, but we're going to catch up.
Nice. Wow, I love it, and definitely a great story, and I love to hear about how these kind of innovative ideas come together, and kind of where they come from too, the source. So I'm really happy you could join us today and kind of talk us through this process and exactly how you were able to come up with the idea for one, right, and some of the challenges there, and then also how you were able to work with the right partners in I think it's Peninsula Pallet, right, and Big Joe to be able to come up with these two solutions that can be together, and then at the end of the day help your customer, help your drivers, your employees, and then help your customers too, because taking away that wait time for sure. So really appreciate you coming by this morning and talking to us and give us a little innovation story as well here first thing in the morning. Love that. So if people are interested in learning more about Andrews Distributing, what's the best way to do that?
They can go to Big Joe. They have a booth here. I'm not sure the booth number, but Big Joe will be there ready to show off what we have, the skinny pallet, skinny jack, with a weight scale. And that's the key. The weight scale is the gold.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. Well, Dan, appreciate you coming in the booth here, and hope you have a good rest of the week here at ProMat.
Appreciate you, Kevin. Nice meeting you.
You too. All right. That was Dan Betts, Executive Vice President of Operations for Andrews Distributing. And up next, we are going to be joined by Marty Boyd, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Big Joe Forklifts, our sponsor of the day. So we're going to learn from Marty about what the latest is with Big Joe. We're going to talk a little bit about what they're showing off here at the show and some of that technology. And I'm pretty sure he's going to talk a little bit about lithium ion too. Marty, welcome in.
Nice to see you.
How are you? Take a seat here. Throw the headphones on. All right. Got him? There we go. Hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. Scoot a little bit so you're in front or behind that microphone there. All right. So we got Marty Boyd here, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at Big Joe Forklifts. How's everything going this morning?
It's great. Yesterday, first day of the show, and it's always the first day is not as busy, and so we're getting ready for a really, really busy Tuesday. Tuesdays are the big day.
Yes. It's already buzzing in here in the Lakeside Hall, which has been open since 9. But the other halls, I think, are just opening up at 10 o'clock. Yeah, definitely. So interested to see the flow of traffic in here today. I think it's going to be quite busy.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Definitely. So you're with Big Joe.
Yes, sir.
Sponsor for today. I got my Big Joes
Excellent.
Right here, or my Little Joes maybe.
I saw your video opening it up. That was
the unboxing.
Pretty amazing.
Definitely. Yeah. I unboxed it and I put it in my suitcase and brought it with me.
Like I said, if you want a bigger version, we can get you that.
Okay,
If you have room in the
definitely.
house.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Just give us a brief overview of Big Joe and what you're all about.
Yeah, so Big Joe is an American brand. It's actually very well known throughout the material handling space. We manufacture forklifts. We were founded in 1951.
Okay.
So next year we'll be celebrating our 75th anniversary, which we're getting all excited about.
Ooh,
so
nice.
That's a big milestone for us. We were founded in the Wisconsin Dells, and we recently moved our North American headquarters down to Madison, Wisconsin, which you were there,
for the grand opening. Yes.
Fall of last year.
Very nice
Grand
facility.
opening. Yep, that's where we met for the first time. But yeah, so we're well known for developing warehouse solutions. Typically class 3, but now we're breaking into some larger class 1 sit down counterbalance lithium integrated trucks. So that's a bit of an eye opener to the market. But we're really striving to make some changes in our organization to really expand our horizons into areas that people don't typically know Big Joe. So.
Definitely. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because you just mentioned typically you guys have been known for kind of class 3 type of stuff, right? Either the pallet jacks or like the Joey here kind of thing, right? But you're showing off a lot of kind of class 1 sit down type forklifts, right? So tell us a little bit more about that kind of transition and maybe a little of the why too.
Yeah, the genesis of it really started back in the warehouse days when we started bringing in integrated lithium technology into class 3 pallet type trucks, and today we've really bridged that gap between a manual hand pallet truck into a motorized solution with a small lithium battery. So that really set the stage for us to really grow ourselves as a company in the class 3 space. So today we're the world's largest class 3 manufacturer in the world. And a lot of that is because of the technology that we developed in the lithium space. So knowing that there was going to be a lot of pressure here in North America going from internal combustion to electric, we continued on with our research and development and expanded our lithium to cover into the class 1 space because we saw a gap, we saw a need in the market to move the class 4 internal combustion cushion tire trucks and the class 5 internal combustion trucks that are used outdoors, both of those segments into an electrification side. So that's really been the driver behind us is taking the technology that we know we're good at, and we have close to 80 to 90,000 integrated lift trucks driving around the world today.
All right.
And now we're bringing that into the North American market and aiming to really drive some change and drive some customers that may have never thought they were able to go electric in the past, and bringing that into reality and showing them the benefits that they can do it. And it's not as intimidating and as anxiety ridden as once thought. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very interesting, and I've been see you guys all over. Actually, I saw Big Joe in the airport, and then I stopped at Best Buy to get these microphone stands, and I saw Big Joe in there too in the store as well. So, but tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned lithium a lot there, right? And kind of that electrification, and it's been an ongoing conversation for a few years now, definitely. But I think the conversation has certainly heated up more, we'll say, and the idea of transitioning, I think, has become more popular as well. So tell us a little bit about your view and perspective on that, and kind of what you're hearing in that realm.
Yeah, I think in the material handling space, I'd say within the last 10 years, there started to be rumblings about a decade ago about lithium coming in and displacing, possibly displacing lead acid. But the cost point for lithium at that time was pretty significant. Yeah. So it was probably about 3, sometimes even in some cases 4 times the price of a lead acid battery. But what's happened is, with the automotive side really driving down the cost due to economies of scale, the cost of lithium is gotten to a point where it makes financial sense to convert over from a lead acid solution to a lithium solution. Plus, a lead acid solution in many of the hard applications where you have 3 shifts, typically you need 3 lead acid batteries per truck. A lithium solution is really designed to be a 1 battery per truck solution. So in terms of the industrial space, what's really driving the momentum, into a lithium type solution is really the benefits that it brings. All the pains associated with lead acid that have prevented the internal combustion market to move to electric in the past. All those pains associated with watering batteries, equalizing batteries, battery exchange, having to let batteries cool down, having multiple batteries per truck, having a battery, real estate within your facility devoted to changing out batteries, and just the process of changing out a lead acid battery in a lift truck, in many cases can be dangerous if it's not done properly. Right. So lithium resolves all of those issues, and finally, the marketplace is starting to recognize the benefits of lithium and the anxiety that has happened. There's been some anxieties around lithium in the past, and over the past, I'd say the past 5 years, there's been so many success stories of operations, not only moving from a lead acid solution to lithium, but also the success of moving from a internal combustion to lithium, that it's really starting to gather a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I think that's really great to hear too, because I think that ease of use, in a sense, right? And it's a lot less messy too than like a lead acid or something like that. I mean, goes a long way. And I think even that battery kind of switching, like you mentioned, 3 batteries to 1 truck. I mean, that's a lot to maintain. That's more space in the facility that needs to be taken up to store those batteries, and space to be able to do those swaps and things like that. So, the lithium has so many benefits there, definitely. And I think, pretty interesting. I saw in your booth, right, you have an interesting display highlighting, the benefit of lithium a little bit. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so whoever is here at the show, we urge you to come by our booth. We have a very kind of fun and interesting display to help to really hammer in the message that we're trying to send to this everybody here, the attendees here at ProMat. So there's many booths here that are showing forklifts, and we don't want the audience just to walk by and see another booth with forklifts. us and just think those are just like the rest of them. So we are a little bit different. We put a display out there with a very old, beaten up class 4 internal combustion cushion tire lift truck that's in what we call the smoke box. And so we've got it's a little bit exaggerated with the smoke, but it's it kind of relays the point, don't be stuck in the past. There are solutions out there that can displace what's in that box, which is a class 4 cushion over to an integrated purpose-built lithium type product from Big Joe. And that's really the catch. It's kind of the bait. We want to bring people in, stop, look at it, why stuck in the past, and then they will get a chuckle out of it. But at that point, we want to bring them into the booth and show them why we are different than many of the other exhibitors here, and show them why we're different in a way that we can actually partner with customers, partner with dealers to help them through the electrification journey, because it's not really easy. It's not like just buying a propane truck, ordering a bunch of options, placing the order, getting the truck in, handing the keys off to the operator, and off you're going. It's a very transactional sales mentality. That's probably the biggest change in the market right now is how do you get the market to understand that going from internal combustion to electric involves many questions before you even talk about the lift truck. So you have to start looking at infrastructure, and do you have enough electrical infrastructure to support all the chargers that are going to charge those batteries? Where are you going to place the batteries in the facility? The operator discipline on charging. Is he going to be able to get off in between shift changes or smoke breaks or lunch breaks and constantly top off the tank, we like to say? Or is it an operation where the operator's on a full 8 hours a day, has to charge and go the full shift? So there's a lot of dynamics in moving from IC to electric. So that's what we're trying to.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely check out that smoky forklift.
Yes, please
get
do.
a chance. It's very creative. I will say definitely. And then you're also showing the AMR as well, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
So when people come into our booth, there's kind of two shocking moments. One is, where are all your warehouse products? And again, we're making a big splash to say that we're in the sit-down counterbalance integrated lithium business. But then in the back, we have a fairly large arena that's devoted to our autonomous mobile robot, our AMR. And people aren't really connecting the two, but there are very strong parallels between electrification, moving IC to electric over to electric with lithium. And that's really, it's very similar parallels to the automotive side of the market, which is, once you go electric, it's very easy to automate. So automation really comes when you can electrify the market. And that's really the highest aspiration of our company overall, is to, number one, utilize the electrification trend, use our lithium technology to electrify everything. Class 4 and Class 5 internal combustion. And in parallel with that, really drive to an automated solution. So we're showing our autonomous mobile robot. It's just one in many things that are going to be coming from Big Joe in the autonomous market. And as you can tell here at ProMat, everything seems to be moving in booths.
Just moving on its own.
So we're diving into that realm as well with a very simple autonomous pallet mover. It's semi-autonomous, so it does require some manual intervention when you pick a pallet. And once you pick the pallet up, and then you can program it. Very easy to program. We don't need an outside systems integrator. It really doesn't need much support at all once the customer has been trained on how to program it. And it's just a very, very simple, very cost-effective point-to-point system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used it when I came to the grand opening, and I was able to figure it out and map it in like 10 minutes. It's super simple. So
very simple.
He's not exaggerating when he says simple, I will say. But it sounds like you're teasing there a little bit that there may be some future autonomous solutions.
Of course. We are teasing a little bit. I mean, we're showing our AMR. We believe with the AMR that we're exhibiting, there's a huge market out there that hasn't been tapped into yet. I mean, there's a lot of technology out there, and some of it is very complicated, and a lot of it is very, one, intimidating, and two, very costly. We have a solution that's very cost effective, and it's very simple. And it really does answer the call for a lot of operations and customers that have been looking for that very simple solution. And it's really kind of a toe in the water for expanding into larger autonomous operations once they see that benefit. So understanding the toe in the water with our AMR is going to tap into a market that exists today. We know there's a market beyond that. Obviously, I mean, just walk around ProMat and you can see that. But yes, we will continue to advance and adapt and to grow our autonomous side.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. We'll definitely be looking forward to talking about that on the podcast for sure in the future when that rolls out. And very interesting there, the evolution you talked about electrifying the fleet and then that leading into the autonomous solution. So definitely very interesting to talk to you here, Marty, and learn a little bit more about what Big Joe's up to these days and what you guys are showing off here at ProMat. And let's close it out here with you with one takeaway for this week. What would you tell people how to look at their operation and their fleet potentially?
Yeah, with the technology that exists today, really it's just don't be afraid to try new technology. Try the technology. Like yesterday we had a discussion about demo, and some people never get to the point of the demo stage where you're demonstrating the technology, whether it's a lift truck or an AMR in your solution, because there's such ingrained fears that it's not going to work. And my stance on that is don't be afraid of technology. Partner with the many solutions providers that Big Joe or anybody else here. And really the key is if you're going to fail fast, learn from those failings, and take that and get to the next stage, because that's the only way you're going to be able to grow is to fail as quickly as possible, learn from that, and then move forward.
All right. Awesome. Love that. Definitely. And appreciate you coming by. If people want to learn more about Big Joe, what's the best way to do that?
You can reach out to us on our website. We've got plenty of ways to contact us on www.bigjoeforklifts.com.
There we go.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn or any other social media, that's fine as well.
All right. Sounds good. Definitely appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you supporting the show today as well. And we'll look for you later this week. Enjoy the rest of your ProMat.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, thanks.
All right. That was Marty Boyd with Big Joe Forklift, Chief Marketing Officer. Up next, we are going to be joined by Patrick Mondi, who is the CEO at Thoro AI. We're going to talk a little bit about Thoro and how they are actually powering that Big Joe AMR that we just discussed here. So Patrick's coming in the booth, and the comments, let us know. What are you thinking about ProMat so far? What are you missing if you're not here? Let us know what you think. And thank you for tuning in, of course, as well. Patrick, welcome in. How are you?
Kevin, it's great to see you. It's
always good to see you.
We got some real heavy hitters today, so it's good.
We
to
got
be
you,
here.
yeah. So.
Yeah, this was a huge get for you. So congratulations. I don't know how.
Yeah, we made the deal. We were able to make his deal. Yeah, I know. We talked to his agent and they cleared him, so we're good. We're good. Happy to get you here. So you're with Thoro AI, right? So tell us a little bit about Thoro.
Yeah, that's great. And it's good to be here. So at Thoro, we handle the software cloud integration that helps manufacturers of industrial equipment to make autonomous versions of their equipment. We have two great partnerships. One is with Nilfisk, and we manufacture a very strong performer, groundbreaking autonomous floor cleaner. Right. And then our second is with Big Joe, and we manufacture we work with them, I should say, to build their autonomous mobile robot, which is here at the show. It's got a lot of buzz. We've got some new features on it that we're really excited about. One of them is our new cloud, where we have some pretty advanced fleet management capabilities that we're rolling out with Big Joe. So it's an exciting time for the platform, exciting time for autonomy. It's been interesting kind of walking the show floor. I think that there's been, I would describe it as maybe two thoughts. First is incremental progress. I think there's a lot of incremental progress in robotics and autonomy, and that's a good thing. I think that more mature products, we're just seeing a lot of incremental progress. Nothing that really is totally paradigm shifting. And I think the second is just ubiquity. There's a lot more robotics, automation. I would say it's much more ubiquitous than even 2 years ago, or it automates. Right. It's so much more entwined. It's not a novelty. So it's been a great show to see both of those trends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that ubiquity it's a good word for that, definitely, because there is so much going on. I mean, I'm just looking straight ahead, and there's a robot moving right there, right? I mean, everywhere you look, there's more automation, more robotics, more interesting, innovative solutions, and lots of different options coming into the market. So I'm curious overall. I mean, you kind of gave us your view on what you're seeing at this show here, but what's your view on just the robotics landscape in general in warehousing?
Yeah, I think that there's one message that we're really emphasizing on the robotics landscape, and that is the need for all of us to play well together, to, for lack of a better term, be much more promiscuous.
Yeah.
There's a job that needs to be done, and there may be 10 underlying technologies to get the job done. And we've got to be as easy as possible to work with at Thoro, because at the end of the day, the end user just wants to see that the job's been done, and they don't care how the underlying technologies are talking or working with each other. So we're really taking that message to anybody who will listen. And we've built this new cloud infrastructure designed to really make adoption and to play well with others as seamless as we can. So that's really, I think, that I wouldn't say next frontier, but that's where we all need to be headed. We want to take the lead on that. We want to play as well and as seamlessly as with as many partners as we can. And, so that really is kind of my observation here.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting to hear, right? Because we talked about, there's a lot of solutions here, a lot of different ones, right? And obviously, I don't think there's one company, even though there's probably a lot of companies that would like to be just the one company that's in an operation, right? But the reality is that a lot of our operations, one solution from one provider is going to work for this part of my operation. A solution from another provider is going to work for this operation. So like you're saying, having them play nicely together, right, is really, really important. So if we look at that, I mean, and you look at the landscape of warehousing out there from a solutions perspective, especially on the automation robotics side, I mean, what are you seeing in terms of the, I guess, adoption rate, or just even like the mix of solutions that some of these operations are having under one roof? I mean, is there like, I don't know if there's an average number of solutions that they have on like the robotics or automation side, but what are you seeing in terms of like the penetration there?
Yeah, you're reading the same numbers that I am, that shows that over 90% of warehouses don't have any industrial automation. Mm-hmm. And I think that statistic is telling, because we really designed the Big Joe Thoro product to try to address that unmet market, to be a pioneer, the first autonomous, the first industrial automation product that people are using. We priced it that way. We made it very easy to use, very easy to deploy, very easy to install. And, I think that's where we've got to attack things. We built a user interface that has went through several iterations, including bringing people who were unfamiliar with robotics and seeing if they could use it just cold, and refining it until we could get it to that point. So I think if you look at the slower adoption or the reluctance to adopt, and you talk to warehouse managers, a lot of them will say, look, we tried this 5 or 6 years ago and it wasn't successful. What makes this different? And I think we're really trying to have a good answer to that in terms of how easy we've designed the product and how we're really going after those concerns head on. But we've got a lot of green space, and I think that's our strategy, and we believe, we have conviction that that's the strategy that's going to get to scale. And we think we couple that with kind of our desire to work as seamlessly that you and I were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. I think put those two together, and we can really move the needle in terms of swaying some reluctant warehouse managers and boards and CEOs to the ROI that can be realized with smart and targeted application of robotics.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it's a great approach there too. Like, how do we, like you said, maybe a couple years ago they tried it and it didn't work so well, bad taste in their mouth, right? How do we make something that, they're more open to, and they're more, willing to try again, right? In that sense. And I think, focusing on, like you said, the user interface, right, and the ease of use certainly is a big help to be able to do that and get that penetration. So if we look at, kind of the landscape here, I mean, I think, we see some stuff that's going on here at ProMat, like that is, essentially very, very kind of future looking, right? And I mean, some of it is happening right now, but still looks like the future in some cases, right? But if you look at kind of the warehouse of the future, what do you think that looks like?
Yeah, I think there was a good article in the Wall Street Journal about the slow pace of realizing a dark warehouse. And I think a dark warehouse is something that's talked about aspirationally, but it's going to be very incremental. And I think in order to make that incremental progress go faster, we've got to be addressing the real concerns that exist: high cost, low reliability, difficulty to show ROI. If you don't have good answers for that, then incremental even is too aspirational. So, I think to your point, we've got to take this as a long game where we move the strategy, where we move the needle, I should say, through being very strategic and thoughtful about how we approach it. I mean, the Big Joe product, I think, is so unique because it's, and I'm really not trying to sell it, but it's low cost. It's really easy to get into the warehouse. And, you're a storyteller. Nobody tells the story of ProMat and Automate and what's going on in our industry better than you. And I think,
Thank you. I'll take that.
No, I mean that sincerely. And, and I think that's what we've got to do better in robotics is be telling a story, case studies, white papers, and also telling the story about how, we can do one thing really well and others can do other things really well. And let's work together and let's work together in the cloud. Let's work together operationally. Let's work together in field services. I mean, I think that's what moves the needle to a totally different warehouse of tomorrow, to realizing some of the potential of the individual technologies. And I'm looking around the room of the individual technologies that are around us that right now are disparate. And right now there's a lot of ego amongst all of us that we want to really control our stack and we're going to keep it pretty siloed. We've got to drop the ego. We've got to decide that we're going to approach warehouse managers collectively and get a job done from an end-to-end basis, and do it in a cooperative manner that's seamless to the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great way to look at it there, because it is it's interesting because I talk to a lot of startups right in space, especially on the robotic side, and they're always trying to get that first customer, but then the customers are kind of like, well, like maybe when you have a customer, we'll be your customer, right? So it's kind of this balance of how do you figure that out. So really interesting perspective there, and definitely appreciate you coming by and sharing your insights with us and diving a little into what the landscape looks like right now and how you're working to help that and bring those kind of things together and make that penetration easier. So really appreciate you coming by, Patrick. If people want to learn more about Thoro AI, what's the best way to do that?
We're most active on LinkedIn, thoro.ai, and we like to engage in any way. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, stop by our warehouse. We're out there, and it's really good to see you, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Definitely, always a pleasure. Appreciate it, and have a good rest of the show this week. All right, so that was Patrick Mondi. He is the CEO over at Thoro AI, which is working on AMRs and floor cleaners too, as well, as he mentioned. And up next, we're going to have Sankalp Arora. He is the CEO and co-founder at Gather AI. He's going to come in here, sit on the couch. Sankalp, how are you? Good to see you. All right, sir. How are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Yeah, doing well?
Yeah.
Twist the mic to you a little bit.
This is good.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good. All right. Good. How you been?
Having fun.
Having fun. Oh, we like to hear that. That's good. Yeah. Day one, okay for you so far?
Amazing, just amazing. We had 20 people all come here.
Yeah.
And I thought there's too many. It's overkill. Marketing people have gone crazy. But we just were overwhelmed all day.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful.
Very nice. And so for people that maybe are not familiar, Gather AI, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, we automate digitization of the warehouse from unloading all the way to the loading using cameras on forklifts and drones.
Yes.
And actually, we launched the cameras on forklifts only yesterday.
I know. I was just gonna say, I think people mostly know you as the drone part of that equation, right? So tell us a little bit about that announcement and what is that all about?
Yes. So we partnered with Noble Lifts.
Yeah, we had Bill on yesterday.
Yeah.
He mentioned it. Yeah.
So essentially, with our drones, we had a flying camera that knew where it is in the environment and what is it looking at.
Right.
But there is no reason that vision and AI technology has to be restricted to that drone. We are taking the same capability of getting dimensions of a box, getting volumetric measurements, getting lot code reads, getting barcode reads, getting damage detection. All of that, the same tech, going onto cameras on forklifts, while partnering up with Slamcore to provide real-time location. Essentially, turning your forklift drivers don't need to scan anymore as they unload. And so your receiving gets automated. Your loading gets automated because you know which truck it went into, so misships don't happen. At the same time, you have visual proof of every transaction, so OS&D gets taken care of and put away in terms of errors go away, because now the system is telling you live where the WMS wanted it and where are you putting it. So I think in effect, your warehouse becomes an Amazon Go store, where you're just putting stuff here and there, and you don't have to scan and you don't have to do the beat.
Really interesting. So you kind of taken what the drone was essentially doing, but expanded it beyond just like the racks and on the floor and things like that. And so you're, are you taking typically you would have like a scanner right in your hand, or maybe it's a ring scanner or something to scan these barcodes. So are you kind of eliminating that from the equation
Yes,
here?
that's right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because I think for off-edge cases, we always recommend people to have scanners.
Yeah.
But mostly people don't need to scan anymore.
Interesting. So I'm guessing you've already put this into some operations, right?
Yeah,
Tested
I can't
it.
say which operations.
That's
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Yeah. I mean, you could if you wanted to. But tell us how it's kind of evolved that data capture now for them, because I'm guessing there were probably existing clients with drones already, right? So
yes.
So how has that kind of like expanded their data capture?
The awesome thing that I see is drones were making warehouses faster and operations faster, but only reactively. Because you catch the mistake after it happens.
Yeah.
And this is basically not letting the mistake happen.
Right. It's also more preventative.
It's preventative.
Yeah.
So you get a proactive warehouse. As a result, we are seeing warehouse OTIFs increase. Because if your inventory accuracy is high, your on-time in full becomes much higher because you know where everything is. Your skip picks reduce.
Right.
So I think that's been the biggest impact. In conjunction with that, since we have every transaction, we can say with respect to industry standards, how much each of the workflow is lagging or leading the industry standard, and how much each operator is lagging or leading the industry standard, both in safety and in efficiency. So it has helped out in workforce management as well. We started this off just to do, live traceability of everything.
Yeah.
And our customers looked at it. It's like, oh, then now I can manage my workforce better.
Very interesting. So now it's capturing, you said on the MHE equipment, like forklifts and things like that. So tell us a little bit about what does that look like from like implementation perspective? Like, is this something that can go on like my existing forklifts? Do I need a special forklift to utilize this? What does that look like?
Oh yeah, it's just, how forks often have cameras for right put away?
Sure, yeah.
It's a similar sort of camera mount with a little compute attached to it. So you can put it on any lift essentially. Right now, we are only doing it for pallet-based transactions.
Okay.
On forklifts, on order pickers, on you name it, or wire-guided things. Next year, we'll do the same for case picks.
Interesting. Okay. So now tell us too, about, so you can put it on an existing forklift, right? So if I already have, 30 forklifts in my fleet, I can just bolt it on basically. I'm sure it's a little more complicated than just bolt it on.
But it's mostly that.
Yeah.
And we'll come bolt it on for you.
Oh, you come do it? That's so nice of you. So, really interesting perspective there, because obviously with the drones you're capturing from like that inventory data perspective, and we've talked before, and you're also capturing like empty locations as well, or potentially like trash or something in the location, kind of these exceptions, right, was the idea. But now you're capturing that full data flow, which I think enables a lot of those processes to happen and happen faster. And I'm curious, as you've rolled this out a little bit with some existing customers, what were some of the maybe like revelations that they've had, that they've now captured this data, and now they're getting visibility into something maybe they didn't really see before?
I think most dramatic that people have mentioned is how inventory accuracy increases.
Mhm.
And they've always felt, every warehouse manager, every DC manager has always felt that inventory accuracy leads to better operations across
Right.
different workflows.
Mhm.
Now they just have sort of proof points to show for it.
Yeah.
So that, I think that has been the most fascinating thing to say, where people say, "Oh, I knew it, but I
Yeah.
just didn't have the data to show for it."
Yeah, definitely. It's giving like that extra layer of visibility,
Right.
essentially, right? So now tell us a little bit too, I guess, because I imagine now if you're not stopping as an operator to have to scan, right? And in some cases, if you're on a forklift, sometimes you got to get off the forklift to make the proper scan, right? So tell us a little bit about, from like a productivity perspective, how this also, because it's helping obviously the accuracy, right, which we talked about. From productivity, what's the benefit there?
That's fascinating. You mentioned this, but I've not measured it.
You haven't thought about this? Oh, I'll give you an idea here today.
Because we have solely been focused on traceability, so we haven't thought about. I'll add that as a measurement, sort of.
There we go. Yeah. So the next time we talk, we can get some numbers on that. But I imagine so, because you think about the idea of like, how do they capture that data now, right? And it's through a scan gun or some type of scanner mostly, right? Maybe in some cases it's paper, but hopefully now we want to evolve, right, past paper. But there's still people out there doing that. But a lot of times they need to get off, right? So you need to get off, you need to scan, get back on, you get off. The operator next to you also got off and says like, oh, did you see the game last night, right? Slow down, right? But now like you're just kind of continuously going, right? That
Right.
flow continues to happen, which I think is a great thing. So so you made the announcement yesterday, right? So tell us kind of what has been some of the reaction, what have you heard here on the floor about it?
The most fascinating thing that has come out of it is people look at the lift, because we have a lift, mobile lift moving around, capturing data live.
Mhm.
And people look at it. But once they look at the data and the inference we can make about how the facility is moving, then suddenly you see his eyes go wide.
Yeah.
And we have integrated large language models into that data, so you can talk to your data to get insights. And that has been the thing where people say, oh, now I understand how this changes how I operate my warehouse. So that has been, especially as a co-inventor of the tech, that has been just so gratifying.
Yeah.
To see that in action.
Interesting, kind of that light bulb moment, a little bit. Yeah. All right, fantastic stuff. And I got to ask you, because I know you're in the startup and the robotics and automation scene and everything. Aside from what you guys are doing, what's something that's really got your attention here this year?
So I'm a roboticist, as you know, by training.
Mm-hmm.
As a roboticist, seeing a humanoid in action, it just gave me goosebumps.
Oh yeah,
because that's the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Whenever it happens, at some point it will happen. But the fact that we have them at our shows and doing these work slowly, so we're just starting to get there, and I'm very excited about it. Maybe we get there in a decade, but as a roboticist, it's amazing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's very cool to see what some of them are doing, and how they're increasing so much, like the ability, and it seems very quickly too. So it'd be interesting to see how that continues to develop. So very interesting stuff here, Sankalp, and always a pleasure to talk to you and learn about the latest with Gather, and certainly very, very latest with Gather today. And really appreciate you coming by.
Actually, there's one more, which is sort
One
of
more?
your podcast exclusive, because we haven't made it public yet. It's in our booth.
All right,
our
let's hear
drones
it.
have needed a person to swap a battery always, and we made cobots, because it didn't make sense to us that you fly a drone for 20 minutes and then charge it for 40 minutes because it's sitting idle. So we've also launched an automated battery swapper, where the drone flies for 25 minutes, lands, within 2 minutes a new battery goes in it, and it goes back out again.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So now you don't need people anymore to battery swap.
Yeah.
That's a first sort of public announcement of it here at Asia.
There we go. You heard it here first, right? So a quick swap basically, and,
Yes.
and reduce that downtime of the drone. Very interesting.
40 minutes to 2 minutes.
All right. Very, very interesting. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with our audience here, and thank you for coming by today. And we'll see you. We'll see you tonight. You guys are sponsoring our happy hour tonight, so
Absolutely.
we'll see you later. So have a good rest of the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sankalp. So Sankalp of Gather AI with the MHE Vision and now drone battery swapping. Up next, we have Ryan from Wise Solutions joining us here. Ryan's going to come on in, take a seat here, throw the headphones on. How are you doing? Good, good, good. Make sure we got you on the mic here.
Yeah.
All right. So Ryan from Wise Solutions, how's your morning going?
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Doing well. How about you?
Going well, you know, getting some good conversations in here, definitely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Wise Solutions and what you do.
Yeah, so Wise Solutions is an installation company in the material handling space. So 90% of the products that you see on the show floor here, we install, or we put together for different companies in their buildings. So,
Nice. Yeah. That's a lot of stuff.
it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of nuts and bolts to count and keep track of, right?
Definitely. So do you have like a specialty in something, or?
Yeah, so we started as a group that focused specifically on pallet racking.
Okay.
And everything that gets involved with pallet racking, those types of systems. And over the years, we've grown and done lots of different things, but specifically dock and door equipment, automation, shuttles, those kinds of things are things that we're doing now. So.
Interesting. And tell us a little bit about kind of that evolution for Wise, because you've been expanding, right? And I think you have a recent acquisition too as well. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Yeah, that's a great question. We started in 2008 as a small outfit out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and we worked as one of our founding partners had a family relationship that sold the racking.
Okay.
And needed somebody to put it up.
Yeah.
So a bunch of college kids, myself and others included, got together and would go to school in the morning and the afternoon, and then at night we'd go into these warehouses. And
so you started with the company putting up racks.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Pretend like we knew what we were doing at the time, right? And eventually, kind of word got out that we had this little business and we're doing well with it, and we decided we needed to hire people that knew what they were doing a little bit more than us. Right? And so we brought in some key people and started doing more regional stuff in the Utah Intermountain West market. 2011, we took our company to California, made a small acquisition in California, and got a bunch of crews lined up and working in California, which was a huge market for us at the time.
Yeah.
And then over the last 10 years or so, we've been just kind of strategically growing throughout the country. You mentioned the acquisition we just did in Arizona.
Sure.
Which was a big deal for us. We'd have a lot of projects going on there, but we would be traveling our crews into that market, which was a big expense for us and our customers. And so we were able to get this deal done, and now we have a local presence, which is cost savings method for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, congratulations on the growth. It sounds like you were there right in the beginning, putting those first couple bolts in, right, to build the business, right?
Yeah, we definitely learned a lot of things along the way, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I guess tell us a little bit about kind of what you've seen in the industry and the market, right? Because starting with racking back then, and obviously just seeing this week, like everything that's out here from a technology perspective, there's a lot that's happened right in those years. So tell us kind of your perspective on that.
Yeah, it's been we've been coming to ProMat for a long time as well, like a lot of others, but it's been an interesting shift over the last little bit, from just your standard steel pallet racking systems to the automation space, where we've got a lot of different types of automation and technologies that are doing the picking and packing and fulfillment for a lot of companies. And at the end of the day, pallet racking is the staple of our business, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But the growth definitely is in that automation sector, and it's definitely something that, as an installer and as a labor force, we've pivoted to be able to accommodate that. It's a more technical type of installation, right? You got to be more precise when you're going hundreds of feet in the air with systems, and robots are running on systems, and you've got to be more precise and exact in what you're doing. And so the level of competency, so to speak, has gone up to be able to make sure that you're within tolerances and things like that. And so the industry as a whole is sort of raised up to be able to meet those demands.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's very interesting that you talk about, getting a little more like technical, right? And raising the competency, because some of these solutions are just like mind blowing in a sense, right? On what we can do and what's possible now within an operation. So, so tell us a little bit about, coming into the show this week, and, talking to your customers and things like that. I mean, what is kind of top of mind right now for people?
Yeah, so one of the main things we're discussing or our pitch deck, so to speak, is that our employees are like our family. And while we've grown to over 500 employees across the country, we still treat them as members of our family, because our employees are our business.
Yeah.
We rely heavily on our groups out in the field to be able to provide the service and the level of expertise to our customers to be able for them to have a successful project as well. And so with that, we're not skipping steps in what we're doing internally in terms of hiring practices, safety, insurances, trainings, all those kinds of things. We're not just sending anybody to people's projects.
Yeah.
They're people that we've vetted, that we've hired, that we've been able to train and get through our safety program so that they're safe on their job site, they're safe for themselves, but more importantly, they're safe for their families, because they're like our family, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I would say differentiates us from some of our competition, if you want to call it that, is just the fact that we prioritize that above anything else.
Interesting. And I think that's a great thing, definitely. And so, on some of those installations and things, I mean, what are people looking for nowadays? Like what type of things are they doing in terms of automation in their buildings, in terms of racking? What are you getting a lot of requests for?
Yeah, a lot of shuttle systems, a lot of full ASRS systems. Those have become sort of a more common thing in the industry. They've always sort of been there, but as the growth of technology has evolved over the years, more and more people are seeing the value and the benefit of those types of systems. A lot of people are changing their warehouse to accommodate their customers, especially in the 3PL world, right? They've got a customer that needs this aisle space or this type of racking, and then they sign another customer, and so they need a crew to come in and change everything for them, usually at a moment's notice, and get it all done quickly.
Yeah.
And so we've been trying to be fluid with that and be adaptive to those kinds of things and be able to accommodate all different kinds of things. One of our main growth drivers over the last, call it 18 months, has been in that ASRS automated picking system space. We're doing a lot of work for companies that have signed contracts with large, online distributors, online retailers, those types of food and beverage companies.
Right.
So we've been seeing that growth in a lot of different sectors across, the material handling world.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think that, seeing that and you talk about shuttle systems and ASRS, obviously trying to get denser storage within those facilities. So are you seeing more people trying to get more out of brownfield applications versus going into new buildings?
Yeah.
What are you seeing on that front?
Yeah. So, one of our big customers on that space, they essentially what they're doing is they're taking, these are round numbers, but call it 1 million square foot facility. And they're dividing it into different sectors, call it thirds, right? And their solution is giving that building the same or more storage capacity in 1/3 of the building that they were getting over the whole building, right? And so essentially when the project's done and they've done all 3/3 of the building, they're basically getting 3 new warehouses and 1 existing warehouse, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And because of the density of the system, they're able to do that. And from our perspective, that's great, because we're in the building at different phases and touching a lot of different parts of the building. But from our perspective, it takes over 100 of our employees on one site to be able to accommodate and get that project done in that timeline, to be able to do it and match up with the timeline of the customer. So it's an incredible feat when you really think about it, to get as much space in 1/3 of your building, have over 120 installers in that building working as you're still operating the other 2/3 of your building, and then integrate the full system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a huge gain, right? To be able to maximize that cube space and get more out of that building you already have than going through all the complications and especially the costs, right, of a new building too, to be able to do that. So pretty interesting where you're saying, you can basically get 3 new warehouses inside of one. That's a pretty big, huge gain, right?
Yeah, and it's a great, it's fun to see. It's fun to be a part of those types of meetings and planning meetings and try to figure out the labor for all that and get that all figured out and work together with the end users and customers to make it all happen. Because it's great on paper. It's a little bit different in practice, right? So it's fun to be
when it all comes together. Yeah,
exactly.
definitely. So very interesting to talk to you here today, Ryan, and really interesting to learn about Y Solutions and kind of what you're seeing in the market there and kind of how people are approaching these different storage solutions and installations and what they're looking at mostly. So if people are interested in learning more about Y Solutions, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so going to the website www.ysolutions.com. It's pretty basic. LinkedIn, we're active on LinkedIn. We have an inside sales team that monitors that, and we'll take requests and those kinds of things and RFQs. Or you can send a request to sales@ysolutions.com. We monitor that as well. So.
All right, awesome. So definitely check that out. Check out Y Solutions and Ryan. So Ryan, really appreciate you stopping by the booth today and talking with us, and have a good rest of the week.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate your time.
All right, have a good one. All right, so that was Ryan from Y Solutions. He's VP of Business Development over there now, but he started out building rack. How about that? I like that. So up next, we're going to have Mike Rill. He is the Director of Warehouse Business Development for Ease Logistics. And we're going to catch up with Mike, see how he's doing and what he's liking out here at ProMat and what he's looking for. Mike.
Kevin, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
This couch is a nice little change here from the normal booth, I think.
Yeah. Get comfortable there. You're good. Let's see here.
I think we're right there.
Yeah, we're good. All right. How are you, sir?
Sir, it's trucking, it's transportation, it's hectic, it's blood in the streets, it's tariffs, it's everything that's kind of going on right now. So it's very much, it's exciting. It's never a dull moment. I think you can definitely attest to that.
That's true. That's very true. There's a lot going on right now. Definitely a lot happening in our world for sure. And I'm sure in your world especially, right?
It's interesting because Ohio has had some pretty, where we're based, has had some really cool economic wins with, a giant Intel factory being put in.
Right.
Anduril Industries bringing, a defense contractor into the area. And it's, there's a lot of optimism, especially in Central Ohio where we're based. But, a big part of our business is predicated on the trucking market. And that is, we don't know when it's going to hit bottom. We've had some really good weeks. Q1 is off to a really good start. But at the end of the day, it's it's just up and down. But the warehousing sector is good. We opened up a brand new facility in Columbus. Very excited about that. Just opened last fall. So 310,000 square feet. The challenges of bringing, filling a building and, also getting it up and operational, and under budget. It's fun. It's challenging. Like you said, you know the drill. It's everything and more.
Yeah. Busy, sounds like.
We're a smaller organization too, so we wear, a lot of guys wear a lot of hats. Ultimately the goal is to work and find great customers and provide excellent customer service, which is kind of our whole model. And it's fun to be a part of that for sure. And then get to talk to awesome guys like you in the New Warehouse podcast and just kind of talk about us and talk about what we see in the industry. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the new building. What do you got going on there? Got any cool solutions going on there?
That's the fun part is that we don't know what we don't know because we're still so very new. We only started warehousing when you and I had met a couple of years ago. It was very new for the organization, and so doing that, it's been just get any customer acquisition was just like key. We'll figure it out on the way. It's our mantra. It's get it in, we'll figure it out type of deal. But so, as far as looking at automation and, some, very, very cool things that we're here for at ProMat, we're getting to the point where we're scaling. We're going to be investing in that technology. We have, on the transportation side, we do some really cool projects with automated trucking. So we see, we have a partnership with the Ohio Department of Transportation and Indiana Department of Transportation. It's I think stage 2 or stage 3 autonomous trucking project that just goes up and down this I-70 corridor with a defense contractor who used to make, visual reality goggles, and they've applied it to trucking. So we just launched that this week.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's super interesting. It's scary. I mean, these ones, it's hands off the wheel to a degree. It's very cool to be piloting that. But it segues into, kind of the stuff we're doing at our building. So looking at it from like a robotic standpoint, that's the hot topic here. Everybody's got robots, things that are moving.
They're all over
here. They're taking over.
Yeah.
I kind of, I worry about you, in New Jersey, because in the eastern, kind of seaboard part of the United States, you've got all the big players up there, and you guys are just going to get walloped when they get loose. but for us, we do a lot of like hand unload by containers. So, we do consolidation efforts, and they're 53-foot dry vans or 40-foot sea containers packed, nose to brim with boxes. And so looking out for the workers, you're trying to find ways, to keep them healthy, keep them safe, and get away from those repetitive injury opportunities. So looking at automated products like, folks down at Boston Dynamics have Stretch. Mujin has the suction cup robots. Those are a great opportunity for us. As we fire up and add more shifts and add more heads, it starts to really make a lot of sense as we grow those customers. So can definitely see it. And we do a lot of pallet in, pallet out. So we're definitely looking at the solutions that, provide kind of the automated wrapping, or, you have the ones that bring the work to the laborer so they don't have to, don't want to waste any movement with walking or, driving endlessly throughout the building.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that unloading, I'm curious, like, what do you think about some of the solutions around there? Because that unloading is such a challenge. I mean, I've been there before in my ops career, and nobody likes it.
No, and it's a brand new spec building. It has all the bells and whistles of a modern facility. Where we're adding, we just have a couple snake conveyors, and we tell people we're not reinventing the wheel yet, but we're looking for, as your business grows, we want to get better, faster, stronger for you, and pass those savings and efficiency gains along to customers and use it as a selling point. So, and we want to be a premier place to work. I think when we had talked before, we invest a lot in the folks that we onboard, from the frontline hourly warehouse operations level to the entry level account manager, and so you have to put that kind of stuff to be a desired employee of choice and give people those options. Columbus is a hyper competitive market with all the distribution center activity there. All the big 3PLs have a DC there. It's just because it's so close, you can get things really quickly to any part of the country, and it's very saturated, so we have to be better and have to find ways to really challenge ourselves internally to make us a good operation to work for. So I know being in where you're from, it's similar, right? Like there's the port of New York, New Jersey is very, very busy, and Ohio's not so much different, especially in the central area. So
definitely, and so we're here at ProMat, right? And you've had a day to be around, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what's maybe some solutions that are catching your attention.
Absolutely. Well, I know you just got the big Joe forklift there, and I stopped over that booth yesterday because, it's interesting that we kind of fired up our buildings. We never got like a full on solution for wholly hosted fleet management for our forklifts and our MHE. So really been hitting those guys up. Had a great talk with those guys over there. We've handled freight all kinds, so not just pallets, but I've got some really large oversized stuff that requires the 12,000 to 15,000 pound equipment, and it's always nice to have somebody on a Rolodex where we can say, hey, we're not here yet, but we will be, and we're gonna really partner with someone who can give us some good value, and we can pass that along. So definitely big on MHE, especially now that there are a lot of the providers going to the lithium ion batteries. Just trying to be a little bit more clean inside the building. Actually, one of the things I was here to look at primarily was additional WMS software.
Oh, okay.
So we have a really good partner right now, but as we look to scale, we want to find a solution that's going to continue to grow with us. We're adding and bolting on e-commerce opportunities every day. So you have to be able to find, software and solutions that can flex and adapt to your business. Also, we have a pretty big opportunity in front of us that's going to require, full on EDI capability through, the development side of things, very custom. And so here it's a lot of tech, there's a lot of opportunities to go just visit and beat the street out here, but I'm really primarily looking at MHE, WMS, to kind of like uplift our own system. Also just kind of learning to see like what's new and what's going to be, what's on the forefront. Everybody's talking AI and robotics, and it's cool buzzy words, and I like that. But also, we'll see where we're at next year when we're in Modex or at the next ProMat, kind of how some of that stuff was evolved or kind of fluttered away. Ultimately, really admiring. There's some great stuff here. I mean, this is a premier event. I can see why you do so well here, because it's just you got a great product along with the folks here at ProMat. So it's super fun to see it, touch it, feel it, and then really link up with people that when you need something, you kind of have that person you can get a proposal out, or have a solution design kind of in front of you. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see some of this stuff that, we've seen maybe in videos or something like that, and see it in person, and get to ask the questions too that we're probably all wondering. So, so I guess for you, right? I mean, as a, someone that has operations, right? You kind of touched on AI robotics there a little bit. I mean, the AI humanoid robots, I mean, really applicable to operations right now? What do you think?
They're going to be. I really think so. I mentioned it kind of like the co-application of a warehouse labor and working side by side. We don't want to replace workers. We made a commitment to our home, in Marysville, where our operations are, that we're going to add jobs, not take them away. So we want to be economically impactful in the area that we operate in, and the area we live and work, and provide, again, that good quality of job opportunity. So if that means I get a better quality worker that I can upskill and teach, and to work and coalesce alongside with robots, the AI, that's going to be really prevalent. It just for that operational aspect. If somebody there is manning a drone robot to go count inventory in your building, and they're the ones just managing the exceptions, not the entire thing, and you have a pretty good success rate, I think it definitely justifies the implementation of that type of technology. So, or for us, we handle high value goods, anything to kind of defend us on, kind of like pre-damage inspection. You get something off a container, maybe you have we've talked to folks that have a proprietary camera system that will grab damage and, kind of like put it in an OSD area before, you actually touch it, and it allows you to kind of go through that quality check process to make sure you're not on the hook for a damage. Pretty big bill with some of the stuff we could see. Those things are definitely helpful, but really, finding the right worker and upskilling is going to be key. I don't know any way around it. It's, if you're not really at least talking about it, you're definitely behind the times a little bit in your operation. And maybe that application doesn't come tomorrow, but there'll be something you may be doing and you don't even know how AI is impacting it. It's everywhere, and it's, you just got to be conscious of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it's all around us right now. I can feel it on me. Yeah. So, Mike, always a pleasure to sit down and talk with you, and appreciate you coming by the booth and giving us some of your perspective on what's going on right now and what you're seeing here at ProMat.
Sounds great, Kevin. Appreciate you. Good luck with the rest of the show. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you later this week. Have a good one. Right. All right. That was Mike from Ease Logistics. Up next, we got two guests coming in. We got Paul and Theo from Brother Mobile Solutions. They're going to come in here. Hello. All right. And today's live stream is brought to you by Big Joe Forklifts. Make sure you check them out. Come on in, guys, here. Got headphones there. All right. We got Paul and Theo.
That's correct.
Yes. All right. And Paul, I think you might want to move your microphone up a little bit if you can. Maybe Madison can help you with the mic here. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you.
Your one ear is flipped.
What's going on here? There we go.
A newbie that had headphones.
There we go.
Yes, he just learned about headphones today.
Yeah. I was wondering why you were only coming from my left.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're only hearing me on one side, right?
That's right.
Definitely.
So the good side.
So welcome in here, fellas. How you doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Definitely great to have you joining us from.
Thanks for having us.
Brother Mobile Solutions, definitely. So tell us a little bit about. Let's kick it off. Give us kind of a brief overview of because Brother, I'm sure people have heard of. You guys do a lot of different things, but Brother Mobile Solutions specifically, tell us a little bit about what that's focused on.
So Brother Mobile Solutions, we are focused on industrialized printing. So where you're able to. So what we do is we mobilize the workforce as far as printing, and we have printers that can print labels, receipts, any kind of paper from 1 inch to 8.5 inch wide. And when you look at our general business of Brother, we have our laser inkjet side, which could be for consumer or business in larger workflows.
Right.
We're about mobilizing the workforce and taking print to where the worker is, not having the worker go to a centralized location to get the print.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the ability to do that, right, is taking away a lot of that travel time, right? And especially in a warehouse environment, right? Which we love here, new warehouse, right? That's our environment. That's where we live. So, looking at that, I mean, taking that travel away, I think it's making that employee more mobile, more flexible to be in different work areas or be where the work is actually happening. I think is such a good unlock there. So tell us a little bit about, labeling within the warehouse, which can be kind of a complex environment, right? It can be a lot going on there. So tell us how important that aspect of labeling, because I mean, even if we look at our background here, we see labels like all over in this warehouse, right? How does that labeling, and I guess efficient labeling, how does that help to keep things moving?
Yeah, the labeling process is key to moving the supply chain around, right? So there's a lot of things that rely on the barcodes that are printed on the labels, from the point of entry into the warehouse to the time that it exits and to wherever else it goes.
Right.
So those labels are critical, right? And having a good quality printed label is important, right? Using the right label for the right application is critical too. I had a customer come up to us yesterday and say, hey, we're using this printer and it's a consumer printer and the label's falling off our boxes. And I'm like, okay, you start asking the questions, you start digging into this. And these are the small things that, I think, the bigger companies have learned over the years, right? You have people in different stages, right? You have people that have learned, 20, 30 years of experience of doing labeling. And then you have, new businesses that, maybe are still on pen and paper and spreadsheets and just haven't grown up yet to that point. And so, at Brother, we do a lot to help educate people, right, on those processes, right? What's the right label to use for the right application? Is it 1D barcodes that you need to use? Do you need to move on to 2D barcodes? The adhesives, am I using the right ribbons, for the right application? So I think that's where, Brother really kind of thrives, and we have a great deal of experience where we can help our customers do that, and we're willing to take the time to go out there and help customers. I think the biggest thing is customers need to kind of walk around their warehouses a lot, right? Look at the processes. Theo talked about mobilizing the workplace. Just taking that walk around and looking at why are you doing this, right? Is that necessary? Or do you really need to write on that, right? Or is a label a better process for you that can help move things through? We had one customer, that is moving to our 8-inch wide printer on their forklift. Before they were walking over to the laser printer, picking up the bill of ladings or other invoices, and then trying to marry them to the right pallet inside the semi truck. Well, guess what? Things weren't getting married up to the right loads. So loads, so loads were going to the wrong destination. So now they're actually printing that piece of paper inside the semi truck, so it's going to the right pallet at the right time.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Like, you think of a label, you just look at it, it's like, oh, this simple thing, right? Or a piece of paper, like you said, but in the operation, right, in the supply chain as a whole, even, I mean, the wrong paper, the wrong label falling off, right, can have such a long impact throughout that supply chain, right? The wrong thing gets sent to the wrong place. Now it's got to come back. Everything's lost. Inaccuracies slow down the operation, right? And they really impact the business at the end of the day too. So they're really important to get that right and get that mix right. How do you, I guess, when you take those walks, like you say, like a Gemma walk, essentially, right? You're sending people out to the floor there and walking with them. Where do you most often see kind of those immediate opportunities to leverage like a mobile solution to be able to improve something?
Yeah, well, most of the times, so between Paul and I, we were even talking about it earlier. We have combined like 60 years of experience in the AIDC world. Okay. Worked at several companies together in the past, and what we've seen is it's the inefficiency that you have. So I call it wasted walking time. So areas where you're wasting time. And every time you're wasting time, you're reducing efficiency there. And that might mean you get 1 or 2 shipments that don't get out that day per worker per day, which is a reduction in customer satisfaction. So anywhere where we can reduce that, and Paul was saying, and it used to be where you had a centralized area for everything, and everything's becoming decentralized to mobilize the worker. So now you could have a fork truck just picked up an order in this one location of the warehouse. They dropped it off over into the shipping location, and as they're coming back, they're being told real time, hey, you're near this location right now, and there's an order that needs to be picked up that's right by there. So that order gets sent to them right away. It gets pinged, and at that point, they don't have to go back and go print a label or print a picking list in a different location. They can do it all right there as they go there. So they're maximizing efficiency. It's no different than in a warehouse. Like, you want to optimize your slotting. You want to optimize all that stuff. It's the same thing with the workers in there. Wasted movement is killing people. And if you look at warehouses and DCs right now, one of their biggest challenges, if they can't fully automate, because automation isn't for everybody.
Right.
The ROI is not there. So the next big component you have is labor. And the 2 issues with labor is you have shortage and you have high cost, because as you have shortage, it costs you more. So you want to maximize the efficiency of those workers. And also, it's a job customer satisfaction thing. If you're frustrated in your job because you are wasting time in doing things, because in a lot of these warehouses and DCs, they actually give incentive programs for picking rates and doing things like that. So if you're not given the tools to optimize your picking to make the most amount of money you can, the worker's not going to be happy about that. They want to maximize that. So if you give them the tools to be the most efficient and effective, you will see workers will gravitate towards that. And that's what our printing technology does. It helps enable the worker to maximize the workflow of what they're doing throughout that day, so they can pick the most, do it in the most efficient manner, and in the best time.
And I don't think necessarily the printer has to be on a forklift either, right? It can be on a cart to where somebody's pushing it around the warehouse, because there are areas of the warehouse where a forklift just won't go, right? Or you got smaller pick areas. And also the benefit is you can put also a bigger printer on a cart too, right? So imagine somebody having to relabel a master pack, right? I get a case of 50 items inside the box, but the boxes inside are relabeled, but we sell them individually, right? So now you can take a bigger printer, print out the labels much quicker, and then label them on the spot with the cart solution as well. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? And it's just really trying to have that conversation, the imagination, right, of how can I improve things. One of the other things that I see out there a lot is a lot of 1D barcodes are still being used, right? I mean, 2D barcodes have been around since the 90s now, right? And those things can bring some efficiency. I understand there's, maybe software or hardware limitations. And I know there's going to be some upcoming reports kind of studying some of the labels and 1D barcodes coming out soon in the market that are showing that some of these inefficiencies, right? That of people having to scan multiple barcodes. So imagine if that 50 pack was serialized on the inside. You might have 50 barcodes on the outside of each of the serial numbers. And then they're scanning them, right? So why aren't those things a little bit more automated so that they're scanning one barcode to receive that inventory instead of multiple barcodes? So there are areas that I think people can look at and try to evaluate, but you've got to go out there and evaluate that. When you ask questions, normally people are like, I don't know why we do it, right? I just don't
We've
know.
just done it that way for 10 years.
Exactly, right?
Until
somebody comes along and says, hey, there's a better way of doing that. But you have to, potentially bring people in, whether it's brother or, one of our partners or somebody, right? That has that experience and be able to help you kind of look at some of those processes.
Very interesting. And now tell us, I guess this week at ProMat, what are you guys showing off? What's the latest?
So from our standpoint, we have all our mobile products there. We do have some new products, some linerless products that we're introducing. So if your audience isn't familiar with linerless,
what does that mean?
Linerless is basically imagine masking tape or any type of tape, right? So when you peel it off, the sticky part is right there, ready to be applied.
Oh, so the back is already off.
Yep. So the back is off the label. So now you don't have to worry about the liner. Why is that important? Well, you get liner on the floor from the employees. Oh, I missed the trash can, or they're walking around the warehouse, right? And you can see that aisle will just be filled with liner, right? Yeah. They're tearing it off and leaving it, and it could be a safety hazard, for, some customers, depending on how much is out there. The other thing is it's a little bit more efficient in terms of you get more labels on a roll as well, too. So you get some shipping efficiencies, and then you're also eliminating the need to have the liner going in the landfill as well too. So there are some benefits that can do that, and there's unique applications with linerless because you can stick labels on top of each other. So if you've got processes where somebody needs to peel off labels and use it as another part of the process. Maybe warehouse, maybe not as much, maybe on totes or something, where somebody's taking a label off, but especially in the manufacturing and retail environments, linerless plays a key part. I'm sure everyone's gone to Starbucks and you see the linerless label on the outside of their Starbucks, right? Yeah. That's a perfect example of a linerless label, and they don't have the liner laying on the floor in the back of Starbucks.
There you go. So, all right. Very nice to hear, and definitely like that it's reducing that waste even further, right? We talked about waste on the travel side, right, and now reducing that waste on the paper side as well, and that thing that ultimately just gets thrown away, right? I think very smart to have that and put that in place. So really appreciate you both for stopping by here and talking with us. If people want to learn more about Brother Mobile Solutions, what's the best way to do that?
Well, brothermobilesolutions.com.
There you go.
And also stopping by our booth here at ProMat and
the South Hall 327. Yes.
The real test for everybody this week. What's the booth?
There we go. And if you stop by the booth, you'll be able to see all of our portfolio there. You'll see the small printers all the way to the larger footprint. And, just keep in mind that, the way Brother differentiates themselves from the competition out there is we have some of the most reliable products that can help reduce, because it isn't just about efficiency in a warehouse, it's about reducing the downtime. So when you do have product, and I always say the best printer to have is the one that the workers nor IT nor operations notice. Because if they don't talk about it, they don't think about it, your product's working as it should.
Not a problem. Yeah.
And with Brother, you can almost look at us as like the old Maytag repairman. You're not going to worry about having a Brother installed.
All right.
And, one last thing.
Sure.
In conjunction with St. Patty's Day, we've got some lucky giveaways, some lottery tickets still left at our booth.
Oh,
so come by
lucky,
and
go by the booth.
Feeling lucky,
there you go.
And
all right.
See what you can win.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you both for stopping by and talking with us this morning here at ProMat Day 2. And appreciate you guys and have a good rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Thank you. All right. That was Paul and Theo of Brother Mobile Solutions. And up next, we have our last guest of the day. We have Curtis Harris, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at JTec Industries. He's going to come in here. All right, Curtis, welcome in. All right, hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, how's the morning going for you?
Good. How about yourself?
Going well. Day 2, you excited?
I am. Yeah, coming in this morning, there is traffic everywhere, and the escalators were packed. So there's a lot of people trying to get in right now.
Yeah. You were here yesterday?
Yeah. So we just get a Airbnb about 5-minute walk, and so when you're walking over here, it's just
there you go.
Traffic was a gridlock.
That's a little ProMat hack there, right? Get that close Airbnb, quick walk over, right? Don't have to worry about that traffic, definitely. So tell us a little bit about JTec Industries and what you all do.
So JTec Industries, we are a OEM for industrial carts and autonomous solutions in the material handling industry. The company started in the returnable racks, and then we had some of our largest companies asking us for a cart system.
Okay.
And that's when we developed the Carry More Tugger cart. And that's where we can design individual material presentation daughter carts that are transported within the mother. And then that way, when you run standard routes, when I pull up, I just snap that daughter cart out. I put it on the line. I grab my empty. I put it back in, and I take off. So I don't ever have to couple or decouple. I don't have tongues and hitches. I can have different design daughter carts throughout the entire train, depending on what material we're delivering to the line. So it just gives us flexibility. And I mean, we have over 3,000 daughter carts designed in a library that we've done over the last 15 years. So it just kind of lets us, if a customer has an application that they need a specific material presentation, we'll have something that's probably pretty close.
Interesting. And so many designs, 3,000 different designs, because each customer requires like something different.
Something different. Yeah. Different sizes, different packaging. Like we've pretty much ran the gauntlet of everything that's out there. So some people want to kit parts. So they want to decant them and take them out and individually put them on the cart. Some people want to still deliver in bulk. So it's just everything that kind of falls into that from an application standpoint.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then that's graduated into instead of just a mechanical solution, now we have an autonomous solution.
Oh, really?
So it's pulled with an AGV or an AMR, and we have powered roller carts, powered roller stations. So we can pull up, we do a handshake, we pull the power from the AGV, we do a hands-free transfer of the pallet or the knockdown. When that transfer is complete, another handshake saying we're done, give power back to the AGV, and it takes off. We also have a product line for AMRs. So those are the individual robots.
Yeah.
We have powered roller attachments, scissor lift, and then what's in the booth this year is the shuttle attachment.
Interesting. It said scissor lift. What does that look like?
Scissor lift is literally like a, Southworth, the scissor lifts that are on the ground.
Like that,
We literally incorporate that on top of an AMR. So you either have a P&D stand that has a pallet on it that has the center cut out.
Yeah.
So when we drive in, our platform goes right up in between the steel structure, right? I take the pallet off of that stand.
Yeah.
I back up, I lower back down, I take off. I also have the capability with that scissor lift is going underneath a cart. We did this in a project this past year for a Manomi cart that we went under it, picked it up, got the casters above the LiDAR, drove it to a robotic cell, literally dropped the cart inside the robotic cell, came out of the light curtain, and then the robot took the parts off the cart.
Oh, wow.
And then we would go back and get the empty cart out of that cell, and that's what they did over and over and over again.
Interesting. Very, very interesting there. And so tell us a little bit about, from like a customer perspective, because obviously you've gotten into the autonomous side of things now as well. What are you hearing from your customers? Like what's important to them right now? How are they trying to optimize their operations?
Yeah. So from the autonomous side, reliability, they want to be able to move more efficiently. The autonomous options give them the ability for other resources to be reallocated to do things within their organization. We have a lot of opportunities right now with ASRS systems, and vertical storage. That's a lot of our customers are into looking into ASRS. That those systems will not only pick and put away for you, but they have logic behind them. So they'll do FIFO for you. They'll do velocity slotting. So, first in, first out, and it will start to learn your operation and how often you call for a given part number, and it will start moving material around to your fastest movers up front and your slowest movers in the back. So it'll actually do the velocity slotting for you. So I think most of our customers are just looking for the autonomous to do more that they can depend on, that they don't have to worry about. It's repeatable. I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's dependable. And then they're reallocating those resources to help with some of the workforce issues that are out there.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think it's very interesting to see that and how people are trying to navigate, get more out of their operations, right, and more out of the labor too, especially as there's challenges around that. And now this week at ProMat, you guys are showing off your AMR shuttle attachment, which you briefly mentioned, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So what drives that is it's a shuttle attachment that I can pull up and a telescope out, and it's got a grabber on it.
Okay.
Very similar to like an order selector.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so I go out and I grab that center runner on the pallet and I pull it off of a non-powered conveyor. And that's really what drives it. Is we have a lot of applications where you'll walk into a customer and maybe they want to put stations at the end caps in their warehouse, or they want to put stations in shipping, receiving in 4 or 5 different areas spread out all the way across the plant, but it's only a station or 2. It's very, very expensive to get a control panel and power to just that one station to be able to do a transfer. Yeah. So this is our solution to where you just need the power on the AMR. Right. But when I pull up, I can either pick up or drop off a pallet to a static conveyor, and it doesn't have to be powered.
Interesting. So something like some gravity kind of fed rollers or something like that?
100%. Yep. Yeah. We can do gravity, or if it's just straight static and they were bringing it out of the pick.
Yeah.
You know, it ties in very nicely with VNA, very narrow aisle. The guys that are on the wire, they go out, they pick it, they bring it out to the end cap, they set it on that station. Our AMR is going to come grab it, take it to its next location. This person's just staying in their aisle, staying on the wire, picking. It makes that person more efficient, that they don't have to take that pallet anywhere.
Gotcha. So kind of like if you're taking it from picking maybe to like packing outbound or something, like it takes away that whole travel time, essentially, and that staging time too, or you need to find the spot for it and everything.
Exactly.
You just keep picking. I love that. I think that's really, really smart there, definitely. So very interesting here, and I guess we're on day 2 here. So I'm curious, what has been some of the feedback, or what are you hearing from people on the floor as they're coming by the booth? What's interesting to them, or what are they having challenges with in their operations?
Yeah, it's been very positive so far. The conversations, a lot of the conversations that are geared around the carry-more system are those organizations that are still trying to go fork-free. So they're still trying to find that solution to eliminate fork trucks. It's a safety thing.
Yeah.
Above all.
Definitely.
And then it's also the maintenance thing when it comes to forklifts and operators and knowing their surroundings. And the more forklifts you put in a congested area with pedestrians in your workforce, the higher chances you are that you're going to have an incident. So they're looking for that tugger solution that they can not only pick up efficiencies, but they can eliminate that safety factor. Because if I've got an operator on a tugger driving straight ahead, my eyes are always straight ahead, my train's always behind me. I'm always going forward on my tugger. So I can always I have that vision of what's in front of me. When I pull into an aisle, I'm stopping, and now I'm hand walking daughter carts to the line and hand grabbing my empty and bringing it back out, instead of a fork truck trying to get into those super tight locations and putting something on a rack right next to the line, where that just gives you the opportunity for something bad to happen.
There's risk there, definitely.
And then the folks that are kind of graduated past that mechanical option and they're already tugging, they're the ones that want to talk about the autonomous, because it's kind of that stepping stone to, I've eliminated my fork trucks, I've got my manual operation, now I want to be autonomous with that. So then they're looking at options of, how can I get rid of my standard routes that are driven by an operator and have them driven autonomously.
Interesting. Very, very interesting to hear that. I'm always interested to hear kind of like what are people dealing with right now, and what are they concerned about, and really interesting to get that perspective from the feedback you've heard there. So really appreciate you coming in here and joining us on the live stream this morning. And if people want to learn more about JTec Industries, what's the best way to do that?
JTecIndustries.com or JTecProducts.com. Either one of those will take you to both of our websites that have all of our product lines and all of our offerings.
Awesome. All right. Well, Curtis, thanks so much for coming in and joining us this morning, and have a good rest of the week here at ProMat.
Enjoy the rest of your show.
All right. Thank you. All right. That was Curtis Harris, CRO over at JTec Industries. Go check them out. And that is our last guest of the day here on ProMat Day 2. We are wrapping up here, but we will be live here again in the same place where you watched this today on ProMat Day 3 tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, and we'll have another 10 guests joining us tomorrow as well. And be sure to subscribe to the New Warehouse if you haven't already. We are also recording full-length podcast here on site in people's booths that we'll be releasing in the coming weeks additionally. And thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to our sponsor, Big Joe Forklifts, today as well. Make sure you check them out, BigJoeForklifts.com. And for all things The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com. Thank you so much for tuning in.